Good afternoon, everyone, for the second day SFDP. So, welcome everyone. So, let us start with the prayer song.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் மதிச்சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை நுகரும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிலமை திரும்பியந்த செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே. It's a well It's a welcome to gift to encourage others to achieve greatness. I am glad to invite Sushma Joshi of 3rd BCom for welcome address. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me an immense pleasure to start this auspicious day by heartily welcoming everybody. First and foremost, I entreat the presence of the Almighty God who bless all our endeavors. Leadership is not about title positions or work hours. It's about relationship. We are extremely blessed to have such an inspiring person as chairman of our college. I cordially welcome our chairman Sri V. Lakshmi Narayanan Swami sir. It's my immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our beloved President Suguna ma'am. It's my great privilege to welcome our Secretary Dr. Srikant Kannan sir, a person who has assisted in not just developing but also enhancing our creativity and knowledge. I would extend a warm welcome to our Director Admin Dr. Vishega sir. Great leader inspire people to have confidence in themselves. A person is a great vision and mission, an icon for hard work. It's our chief guest, Dr. Sundar Pandian Nadarajan sir, professor and director. We welcome you, sir. I wholeheartedly welcome our principal, Dr. R. Rajkumar sir, who has been pillar behind this event. Next, I would like to welcome all the heads of various departments and all faculty members. We welcome you all. Respect is earned, but honor is given. Now I request Sona of 3rd BCom to address our chief guest. Effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. On this auspicious day, our chief guest is Dr. Sundar Pandian Nadarajan Sir, Professor and Director, School of Business Management, Aditya Institute of Technology. He had pursued PhD in Management, Master of Science, Master of Business Administration, and Bachelor of Commerce. He had achieved Man of Excellence Award 2022 from Aditya Institutions, Coimbatore. Also, International Edux Icon Award 2021 for Best Professor. He has also published a research paper on innovation starts with talent management. I kindly request Dr. Sundar Pandian Nadarajan sir to hand over this section.
Excuse me, sir. Hello. So can you hear me, sir? Hello.
We can hear, sir.
Hello. Sir, it's not audible, sir. Hello. So can you hear me, sir?
Now, am I audible to you? Can you hear me now? At least.
Sir, it's not audible, sir. Sir,
So can you please now? Am I
No,
audible to you now?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now only it's audible, sir.
It's audible now. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Madam. Sorry for the inconveniences. Okay. So I thought just a minute. Let me put because I'm using two tools here to make my voice in one place and hope I'm audible now.
Yes, sir.
All of you. All right, good. So just would like to ask you a few things before we start the session. My sorry for the inconveniences as we are talking about effective teaching and learning methodology. And this is what the problem. Sometimes even we wanted to deliver the best, and sometimes the tools and the classroom atmosphere may disturb us. So something like this, what we had today. Let me just put a share screen so that you can see the screen out. And let us talk something out of the topic we are talking about. Today we are going to talk about teaching and learning and assessment methodologies towards 21st century education. If you are not able to hear me or what, please alert me, okay? Because otherwise I will be talking to the screen without knowing whether you are receiving or not. All right? Any one of you can respond, please?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. We can hear you clearly.
Good, good, madam. May I know your name, please, ma'am?
No, it's me. Anu, sir.
Anu,
Subulata.
yes, Anu, you are.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, all right. All right.
Okay.
So we are talking about effective teaching and learning methodologies. What were the issues or what are the issues currently we face or what do you think we wanted to improve our teaching and learning methodologies in today's environment? You think because every day we are facing the difficulties, we are on the classrooms, on the corridors of learning, but unfortunately still we have a lot of setbacks. We wanted to improve our teaching and learning methodologies and also the student engagement. That's the reason we are all assembled here. Maybe you might know some extent whatever I'm going to talk to you. Already you would have learned. Let us refresh it. Or some of you might be new for it. Even I might learn from you more because you would have learned in different FTPs from different experts and so on. Let us make this as a synergic session. Let us put together and make use of this 1 hour meaningful and fruitful, all of you. Please put some information or chat messages. What do you think? We all wanted to look at improvements in today's classrooms. Someone wanted to talk to me earlier, but I couldn't hear, or he couldn't hear, he left now. Maybe get some out, response, please. What is our priority today, learning and teaching priority today? Who are our members, target members we wanted to focus? What's our priority? What's our goal? Why we are all assembled here? Can we make this an outcome set? By end of this session, what we wanted to take home or what we wanted to be capable of or what we have doubts, maybe we can make it like that. So can you post some input for me to get some clear idea so that I can address the right points to you? Otherwise, sometimes it may be repetitive or it may not be useful to us. I know. Before we start that, maybe I would like to say a few words, some output, some kind of introduction, self-introduction about me. I am Dr. Sundar Natarajan, Professor and Director of Aditya School of Business Management, located in Coimbatore. And I'm in Coimbatore for last 7 years, 7 to almost 8 years, teaching in MBA institutions. Earlier, I was in United States for like 3 years in the field of SAP into IT field. And I was also into education for like 14 over years in overseas, teaching UK MBA programs to Asian students in Malaysia and Singapore. And now currently I'm an adjunct faculty aboard of Robert Golden University in United States of America and research supervisor for University of Cloudshare UK. I'm here. I've attended some effective teaching and training methodologies from different personalities across the world and different trainings. And, especially on student engagements. That's the reason the topic they have given to me, I guess. So maybe we can share something and we can get out of this session some meaningful impacts. If you all wish to, have some good discussions, I'm happy really talk to you or we can address on it. That's about little about me. And basically I'm into talent management, capability management researcher. I've done like 10 years of research in talent management, where we are into IT industries, into technical industries, and into manufacturing industries. That's about me basically. So let me just start sharing my screen, and maybe you can have a look later. Anything we can discuss. Now I hope I'm audible and you are visible to my screen is visible to you, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we are talking about the first thing about teaching and learning. We are talking about students orientation. Who is our center point when it comes to classroom? Students. We talk about students, right? So how we are talking about students. What is that student is about? Sometimes what do you teach? People ask you. What do you answer? I teach marketing winter. I teach finance. I teach computer science. I teach chemistry. I teach something like engineering. Something we tell, right? But basically we teach students, right? We teach students on some concepts or some conventions we teach about, right? We have to change our mindset towards putting students at the center point. Why? I will tell you, right? Because I'm going to take two major authors. One, you all came to know, I think earlier in the yesterday's sessions, or you would have attended the other sessions, Benjamin Bloom's one, you know. The other one is John Biggs. He's another Australian educationist. I'm going to bring it to you today. And it's not from me what I'm going to tell you. It's about the experts, what they tell about education and how we can make better class engagements and better teaching impact to the community, younger community. That's what I'm going to give it to you today. Hope some of you can take some notes, or you wanted to ask me anything later, you can ask about it. Here, we all think about, just giving notes to the students, or one way of delivering to the students is academic, or making people relating to some concept, applying towards something, we call it as academic. But basically, John Biggs says that is non-academic. You can see from the screen, I hope the screen is visible, you can see that bottom curve, which talks about memorizing. Here you can see, let me put it into full screen so that you will understand. Memorizing is there, and note-taking is there, and you have recognizing is there, relating is there. Until this part, application side, still you are low into academic or non-academic. When students can apply, already started to academic. And after that, generating into new ideas, creativity, reflecting and theorizing, bringing into creative way of forms of outputs to you to have after your class or during your class. That's what we call it as academic. So first of all, he wants to differentiate the differences between non-academic and academic. Most of us come from different background or professional backgrounds, like me having MBA or PhD or MSc or MCom or whatever it is, or ME, and we don't go for proper teacher education. It's not, we can't blame ourselves. It's a fact. We just directly take up this position as faculty members and join any college professor or associate professor or any faculty category. We join and we start to teach without knowing what is academic, what is non-academic. So we have to be clear on these aspects, what is academic and what is non-academic. As faculty core facilitators of learning, we have to be aware of it. Hope you will get an idea from this slide, passive to active, how we can make it passive to active. Students are actively required to improve through problem solving or problem-based learning. Just teaching one way, standard lecture alone, is passive teaching and learning, we call it, which will not create so much impact, which we call it as, like a kind of note-taking, recognizing, or kind of things. You can see, you can take note of this author, John Biggs, and also the students orientation. You can go and do research, because this 1 hour we can't cover everything. He has done so many decades of research on education, and he brought in so much kind of models on teaching and learning. You can go and do research on this aspect, and you can learn more from his write-ups. And yeah, just let us get into the previous slide. I hope you can see this slide, but the letters are very small. Conservative learning and extended learning, we call it two types of learning, we call it. And here, teacher's role during your conservative learning, what will happen as what we all do today, because we are limited with our facilities. We have PowerPoint slides, we have no books in our hand or one-way delivery, because we think we are the exclusive source of knowledge. Students know anything. Students know anything. They are the empty vessels with their brain. So we wanted to put so much into their brain. That's what we think. Even you kid, you take it. We are sending kids to LKG or UKG or first standard, or even after schools go to UG, undergraduations, they have some backgrounds. Even before come to LKG, UKG, students already learn from mother. They come with some background, right? After that, then they pick up from teacher, the madam or teacher, whatever they call it, they pick up. So we can't treat people as they are empty vessels. They know nothing. So they have some knowledge prior they are coming. But unfortunately, most of the teaching and learning in Southeast Asia, I don't say this, but researchers say that it's our one way, or almost the teacher or faculty feels that the teacher is that exclusive source of knowledge, and they have the direction, they are the guidance for assessment or anything, they have everything. This is the first method, we call it. And next, continuously after that, what is the evolution we are talking about? Analytical. Basically, teacher becomes a coordinator of learning resources, questionnaire, critical guidance, and principal sources of assessment. Still, you are principal, you are the core source, but you just collaborate with people, make them do little activities. That is extended learning and teaching we talk about. The next one, we call it about the current trend people are talking about, more experienced colleague. You are a more experienced colleague and collaborative, preliminary centric personality or advisor or patron or facilitator, we call it, facilitators of learning. We call here faculty, but when you go to UK and all, they call people, faculty members, as facilitators of learning, right? Because they are moving into extended teaching and learning methodologies. You all know why I refer to UK, because they are the pioneer in education. Somehow we started to follow them during British, and we are not evolving towards the global education today. And the next, that is the role of teacher we have seen so far. And characteristics, what are the characteristics of teaching and learning? Transmission of information and demonstration of skills overall by the training by people like us. Teachers, we do everything. But in speculative discussions, advice on ideas, methods of individual basis, models, hypothetical form of assessing, creative thinking, those things what is expected today. So what are we talking about here? Let us get into detail. And the learning strategies, what learning strategy we used in conservative, basically memorization, imitation, right? And analytical, extended learning. Then speculative means hypothesizing, creating, innovating, so on. So mostly in the conservative, we ask WH questions. Still today, university questions, you can see most of the question, including section B and C, all what and how questions. But you go for Bloom's taxonomy or overseas education, you will see like questions are framed in different formats, more kind of verbs. These WH questions are not verbs. How is not a verb? What is not a verb? What are you demanding? You have to demand something from your question, right? So state or tell us, or so speculate or think about, so something, what if, or something like, you can see that, and that's the way the education goes out. So let us get into the next. As I was talking to you, let me clarify some areas over what I have discussed, some methodologies, what the people have gone through in the world. Pedagogy, you all use, right? We all use pedagogy so much. Education has traditionally been seen as a pedagogic relationship between the teacher and learner, teacher and student. It was always the teacher who decided what the learner needed to know, and indeed how the knowledge and skill should be taught. That is what we think under pedagogical relationship between student and teacher. And there are shortcomings in this method. The major shortcomings of such early theories was that the learner was viewed as passive receiver. Passive receiver means only listener. As usually we do, we practice, right? So information. An empty vessel to be filled with good information by the teachers. That's what pedagogical approach, the relationship speaks about. But that is not right. That is not enough today. The world is different. We are talking about 21st century education. The history of learning theory shown a shift from pedagogy to another concept we call it, which we call it as andragogy. Andragogy. What do you mean by andragogy? Student-centered learning, student-centric learning, we call it. The focus from the teacher to the learner, and the learners best when the control over the learning. Learners will have the control over the learning based on their life experiences. That is the next methodology we have gone through, right? Helping adults to learn. But again, looking at the deficiencies in pedagogy and andragogy, because the connection still is there with the teacher. You are the teacher or be the teacher, we still take the control over even the student-centric. What people think today is about move the whole control to the student. Another concept emerged today and people are using it in the world, hutagogy. Hutagogy. We don't call it anymore pedagogy or andragogy. We talk about hutagogy. Please go and do research on these words. Maybe you want to take note of these words in spelling and do that. Hutagogy is the principle of teaching based upon the concept of truly self-determined learning. Truly self-determined learning. SDL. We call it SDL strategies. Maybe please browse on SDL, self-determined learning. That means the students will decide what they wanted to learn. Today in UK, we were framing syllabus for some people, data analytics. They wanted to learn while working. They are the people after schooling, they started to work, and the employees wanted to be engaged by the employers, and they were sponsored by the employers, and they wanted to study data on science, data analytics from different faculty members. And we have given how their KSB gets changed. K means knowledge, S skills, and B behavior, attitude behavior, right? I think you all would have already learned and practicing it. And that is something to look at, KSB, which we'll be talking about it later, right? Basically, individualized learning, independent learning, and of course, using all multimedia, right? Like today we are sitting here and doing things. What are the activity, balanced activities approach, BAA approach we call it, BAA approach we call it, another teaching and effective teaching methodology. So what the framework says about the stages of learning: input, practice, and output. This is what three things. Input, basically the knowledge. You lead, you explain, and make it people to reproduce or repeat it, imitate it. And then after that, with creativity, with skills they have, they can express with WH questions, what, when, how, and so on. When you are talking in the classroom itself, they have to practice. That is the reason these WH questions and how questions they have framed them. Not just to test in the examination, it is to test in the day-to-day classrooms. The WH questions were framed. WH question means what, when, where, and so on, right? It's basically from memory. Immediate after your lesson, students will be able to do that, communicate with you. End of the day, your output is basically your communication. Either they show it through their body language or doing something, or they express it through verbal or non-verbal communication ways. This is a total teaching and learning methodologies has to bring in. And the next we just spoke about three types of learning: cognitive, mental skills to look at, affective, and psychomotor. Basically, your knowledge, your behavior, your skills, or knowledge, skills, or behavior, KSB. While setting question paper or doing that, outcome-based teaching and learning methodologies, we follow kind of KSB process. I think you all know that. Maybe you can explore more. Learning outcomes. That again comes to OBTL, outcome-based teaching and learning. So outcomes should be set at the beginning of your class. When you enter into the class, tell the students, let us tell the students, this is what you are going to possess end of a particular lesson, particular class, or particular subject. So we have to describe the learning outcomes to the students at the beginning. Understand what understanding they are going to have, what applications they will be doing it, what kind of analysis they will be doing it, what kind of creative things they can take up end of your lesson. That is what we have to set prior to the classes, and we have to have the goal. Okay, then move on further. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Am I going slow or fast, or are you okay with it?
Okay, sir.
So what is Bloom's? As I told, today we are going to talk about two taxonomies. The one is basically Bloom's one, already, where they are talking about, let me just go through faster so that we can cover the other aspects, student engagements later. So this is Benjamin Bloom's led program, and by many college faculty members joined together, and they brought in this concept for classroom usage. And this is what first remembering to understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. All the terms was prescribed by Benjamin Bloom's, and the verbs are given. This is the question basically you will have to ask during your regular classes or the regular assessments basically. We call it summative assessment and formative assessment. Some of you might already know what is summative, what is formative. Summative assessment means after the whole semester examination we conduct, one-time assessment we do it for the whole subject, one time. So we call it summative. Formative assessment means we do assessment periodically, every day in the class, every week in the class, doing a lot of assessment, industry projects, some applications, and some tests, some quiz, everything accumulating, combining together and giving them grade. That's what we call it as formative assessment, the differences in these two. So you can see that. So maybe you can see that how starts from remembering to understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and creating into new solutions. So as I told you earlier, 1956, Benjamin Bloom has brought in this Bloom's taxonomy, and in 2011, Anderson, his student, has brought in the revised Bloom's taxonomy to the world with can-do attitude. The student should possess a can-do attitude. I can do end of a particular lesson, what I can do. I will be able to explain. I will be able to demonstrate. I will be able to create something. I will be able to analyze. I will be able to apply. So all these can do. That's where the verb comes now. You can see WH questions to these verbs. Like I create, analyze, apply, remember. All these are the verbs. Demands answer from the students. So first, the stages, how the stages were developed. We must remember relating with real life a concept before we can understand it, right? When we get perception, if people who teach psychology, you know, perception, you just perceive things, many things you perceive today. Maybe I'm talking to you, thousands of, kind of concepts or something you are listening, or while passing somewhere from Gandhipuram to some place, you are looking at so many things, you are perceiving, your mind perceives everything, your eyes are looking at, right? But can you remember everything? Only few things we can remember, the incidents we can remember. So what is related to you, priorities you have, that will be related, and that you should, then you will be taking into insight, internalizing it, then understanding it after that. After remembering, you will understand it. Once you understand it, then you will be able to generalize it, right? Generalize it, and you can apply wherever possible. You will try to use that knowledge, what you have understood. After application, you will have to analyze it. What is that mean by analysis? Once you apply, the application starts from one stage to another stage. That means you brought in one kind of learning and you have applied it, one answer you have received it. So once you complete the whole process, you make bits and pieces, your application into bits and pieces. Then you analyze each element, individual elements, you analyze it, right? So all the applications, you have to make bits and pieces, you analyze it. After you analyze it, what you have to do, you have to evaluate. What do you mean by evaluation? What is the difference between analysis and evaluation? Analysis takes part in simple bits and pieces, each and every different segments. But evaluation, overall, you conceptualize where the weakness, where is the strength, which one to be dropped, which one to be enhanced, improved. So all these you will just evaluate in general in one capsule and making into one kind of synthesizing answer you are bringing it. That is what evaluation comes into picture. Evaluating the whole process. When you are giving questions to the students, you will have to think, are you going to make them that application into bits and pieces, and you want answers how they can segregate and give you, or you want it into the full conceptual form. So that means evaluation. The question you should ask, analyze. Analyze means you can't expect whole answer and after that one conclusion. Maybe you have to ask evaluation so that you can critical analysis you can see and the students can come with conclusion, right? Then after evaluating it, then you can create. So this evaluator, what can be enhanced further? Can we excel again and again, again and again? That is what creativity. So from remembering to understanding, then applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating new solutions for any problems is what that education is all about, right? And here you can see, remember, understand, apply. These three areas doesn't bring any kind of analysis. Only from analyze, evaluate, create. These three only comes with analytical skills. That's why Benjamin Bloom's calls higher order thinking skill and lower order thinking skills. Higher order thinking skills and lower order thinking skills. Lower order thinking skills are like you are remembering, understanding, and applying, because you don't need to think anything. You just remember what people told or what you see, perceive it, then you understand it, then you apply it. No need to put so much thoughts into. Then that is why no thinking, not much thinking necessary. That's why we call it as lower order thinking skills. The other lots, we call it lots. Many of our students are in the lots category because all the time they learn up to application only. But here analysis, analyze, evaluate, and create are different elements where we have to emphasize more in our teaching and learning, where the hearts will be enhanced. Hearts means higher order thinking skills, where you can think about the process of learning as a concept. Okay, so are you clear with it? Are you clear? Am I with you? Anyone? Am I audible to you? Hello? Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now I think I have explained this very well. So you can see the verbs, we are only looking at what, when, and so on, right? So many questions we can ask. In remembering itself, we can ask like 100 verbs are there. Understanding 100 verbs are there. It's all available in internet for free. Okay, we can go and browse it all. I just brought in here, and then taxonomy is given here, the revised taxonomy. Now let's coming to the topic. What's our real topic? Teaching and learning assessment and time management per week. What you are planning for per week, per classes. This has to be planned. Then only our teaching can be effective, right? So in 1 hour time, what are we going to do? What is the outcome you are going to set? What is the outcome you are going to set? That outcome will be, can it be attained in 1 hour or half an hour? How are you going to manage that 1 hour time to achieve that outcome you have? So let us say here, the topic of the week, learning outcomes of the week is, time management. Total time available is 180 minutes, 1 week. 180 minutes means what? 3 hours, right? 3 hours. Your learning outcome, 4 learning outcomes you have. So how many minutes for each outcome? You can give 45 minutes. Sometimes what do we do, So whatever subject we like so much, we take so much time for that. And whatever subject we think it's not so kind of keen or doesn't create any interest, we leave it to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we close it. We have to balance the time for each outcome, because that outcome is something which has to be taught to the students, and they have to improve the skill sets and knowledge on that particular outcome given to them. So we cannot go with according to our judgment. Then our classrooms, let's say 5 classrooms you are running, A, B, C, D, E. 5 faculty members are running. How can we get the same outcome from all the students? It will be difficult, right? So that's the reason we have to balance the timing for all the outcomes and give it to all the faculty and make a clear framework, teaching framework for the faculty members, so that the outcome can be delivered as per the expected standard norms of the university or any academic framework. So that's very much important. This is where many of us, including me, many of us go wrong. We give importance to some topics, we don't give importance to some topics. So that has to be taken care. So that's where here you can see balanced activity approach, BAA approach we call it. We have to take note of that. Effective teaching goes with better plan. If you plan it well, I think the teaching will be better. You can see the BAA approach. Please take note of it, that if you want to improve, then you can improve it. The next important approach on the taxonomy is solo taxonomy, where John Wicks has derived this solo taxonomy. Not many people are speaking about this taxonomy like your Bloom's taxonomy. This is something also highly related and relevant to teaching and learning of today's era. So you can just think about what is solo taxonomy. Solo taxonomy is basically structure of the observed learning outcome. SOLO, right? Solo, structure of the observed learning outcomes. We call it constructive alignments. You can see here quantitative to qualitative. Quantitative to qualitative. We give some points, 10 points we want to teach for one outcome. We give 5 points, we give 8 points in the class. And even the student miss that 8 points, or they only remember 5 points or 6 points. they are unable to relate to anything. So something quantitative. They will remember only few things. Our teaching should not be like that. It should be from quantitative to qualitative. Qualitative. That's where the KSB is measured in today's world. Today's education world. KSB is measured. What knowledge, what skill, and what this knowledge and skill modified their behavior and their attitude, their performance, basically performance behavior. That's where the solar taxonomy helps people on those aspects. So here, this is given by John Biggs. Again, I told you John Biggs, Australian professor, and he has written many books about education. So you can just go and do some research and see the 21st century, how it addresses the challenges of faculty like us we are facing. It can be improved. Solar taxonomy also given a kind of triangle, and you can see from no relationship to relating to, highly relating to concepts, to the life, personal life. That is what solar taxonomy speaks about. You can think about it. Then comes to assessment. That is about teaching, we call it. Then assessment. We cannot separate teaching and assessment separately because, as I told you earlier, so assessment should be more kind of your constructive and also your formative assessments, right? Regular assessment you have to follow. Then only student engagement will be better. Okay, let us talk to you about some student engagement activities later part of this session. Before we complete this session, I have some samples. So I can show it to you. I can just explain it to you so that you can practice in your day-to-day classrooms. So the relationship assessment between here we can see. Let me go to the next. Written examination. Let's talk about written examination. You want to see the learning outcomes are given to you. How a student can perform based on the learning outcome you have covered in the classroom. Written examination you can see. So the keywords, basically you will have to look at it. What are the keywords? As I told you, the keywords must be like your verbs. Verbs are your keywords. Analyze. They cannot go and apply something, right? They have to analyze it. What keywords you want to analyze it, evaluate it, apply it, create it. So based on those words, they have to understand the keywords of your question. What are they trying to ask? We have to see that. Multiple choice questions you can ask. That is kind of memory kind of things you can bring in, right? Let me just go through some samples. If I have, I can give it to you. The task I have. Bachelor degree. I think most of us are teaching bachelor degree and master degree. So what we should do while teaching bachelor degree, how we can assist students in bachelor and master's degree. Bachelor degree prepares students for general employment, right? Some general employment or entry into postgraduate qualifications and research. They have to go for some research after bachelor's degree. So, and also they can have highly skilled careers later part. So it enables the individuals to bear responsibilities which require greater autonomy in professional decision making and so on. What skill set the student should have? When you set questions, remember this at bachelor degree level. We can't go and test like master degree or PhD degree questions. We can see, can the student demonstrate whatever they have learned, that outcomes, can they demonstrate? This keyword, something you can use it frequently. And can they use the learning knowledge they have learned in their day-to-day activities or when they go to some jobs and argue, can they analyze and argue, solve some problems, can they do? Show techniques and capabilities, set some information, self-learning, can they do it to make some decisions? And can they communicate? Can they apply? Can they possess kind of independent study skills? Can they go and explore and get it? So these are the kind of area we can focus on bachelor degree. This is as per the authors given like John Biggs and Benjamin Blooms. Yeah? The next master degree, again, they have to demonstrate their research skills here. Same demonstration, not just the knowledge, what they have learned here about the research. To develop or use ideas usually in the context of research. They should already involved in doing research. Use the knowledge and comprehension to solve problems related to field of study. What field they study? Maybe computer science, maybe management, maybe commerce, right? Anything. Integrate the knowledge and complex matters. Can they generalize? Can they integrate it? Synergize it? Evaluate and make decisions. Basically, going for group discussions, kind of activities, brainstormings. Why? Because I have one idea, somebody else have another idea. Together we can synthesize and we can come with synergic ideas, creative ideas. For that purpose, this kind of integration is applied. Evaluate, deliver, demonstrate the progress, continuous autonomous activities they can do. Next, doctorate. Doctorate, of course, is total research activity. How they can showcase systemized way of comprehension. You have to make a system. You have to make a design. You got to prepare a model. You got to develop a model. That kind of activities you will have to test it during your postgraduate, after postgraduate or doctoral degrees. But still, we can see some of our PhD questions again goes with the WH questions, and so much of memorizing on all those things. They are not focusing towards the international standards and expectations. Maybe you can consider you wanted to use it for your applications in future. Then here John Biggs again gives you how you can grade students, grading students. If a student gives you the same answer, what you have given, they are just pass students. They are just pass students. They are like D grade students. That's why you can see in the PPT I have shown it to you, the understanding at the level that would warrant a pass. They understand what you told, what you have discussed in the class, what they have observed from any factory visit or anything. They can understand and demonstrate, or they can present it. They are just D grade students. But how do we mark? We mark students A grade when they give right answers. But actually that is totally wrong as per John Biggs. Okay. And next answer, C grade. If you wanted to grade them C grade, how they should answer. Quite satisfactory learning, with learning at a declarative level. They have to talk, analyze and give some argumentative verbs such as elaborating. They are able to elaborate their understanding. They are able to classify. They are able to do something from the knowledge, the application side they have. So that you can give them C grade. Then B grade. Who can get B grade? Highly satisfactory of understanding. They are in and out, thorough. And verbs such as explain, solve, analyze, compare, contrast, right? Differentiate, anything, they can just do it. They can just analyze bits and pieces. Evaluation can be done. And A grade, who can get the best grade? The very best understanding that could be reasonably expected. Verbs such as hypothesize. They were unable to frame some hypothesis. What is hypothesis? It's an assumption. Basic form of definition is an assumption. Whether that is done, yes or not. It can be, you wanted to test it and find out the answer. You want to be creative. You wanted to give new solutions based on your findings, research. Nobody knows that answer, only you know. You are bringing that answer. Exclusive answer. Such candidates, you can give them A grade. That is what the students, then you can see the people excellence, the students excellence. Otherwise, you will not be able to categorize them A grade student, B grade student, C grade student. How do we measure? Any student don't give the answer what we give there, we mark them as D grade. 100% exact answer we give, they give us, that means you are marking them as A grade. Actually, totally, what do we do here is wrong, because our question pattern itself is wrong. So we have to prepare questions to make students answer to grade into different levels. Okay, so this is what the international standard and level. Maybe you wanted to take it forward and you wanted to apply in your day-to-day. Maybe you may ask me, sir, university questions are different. They're asking the same standard format. How can we go and do it? If a student can answer this question, I'm very sure they can answer what question and how question. I don't think they can go wrong. They will be able to do very well in their university questions. So then, assignment writing skills. So usually in foreign countries or take-home exams they give. We are doing some autonomous colleges in India. We are all doing like kind of exams where the students are given case studies earlier, and their questions only will be given on the exam days. Questions only will be given on the exam days. So what is that question they wanted to answer? So they have to go and prepare, can do research. They have to do research for 3-4 days, and they have to bring and answer the questions which will be given to them on the examination day. Then they should follow YES concept. YES, another important concept in assessment. YES. What is yes? Y stands for what do you say? What the students say about the particular scenario. They have learned so much. What do they say? And next, what experts say or research articles say. YE. E is expert, or the research articles, research papers, right? They say, experts say about. Then yes, studies on the other research. From this, what I know, what experts telling, what the real industry is all about researching, what people are talking about in the field. So you make a comprehensive answer, and yes is basically that particular element. So if you can manage these three, YES, and you will see that A grade students coming up very well, and you can go for education excellence. And that is where pursuit of education excellence is going towards this scenario, this kind of situation today in the world. So maybe you wanted to think about it. Can you see the last part of this particular slide? Time management. How an assessment should be done. 60% of the time available for preparation. You should give a case study for them to go and do research so that they can develop knowledge and they can observe what experts say and bring back. That should be given 60% of the time. Then 20% writing a draft. Writing a draft 20% of the time. Like you have 100 minutes, 60 minutes should be given for preparation. 20 minutes is for them to prepare a draft based on the preparation they have had. After that, everything is done. Close it all write the final answer for them to submit to the university or to us as faculty members in 20 minutes time or 20% of their time. This is a way to be done. But in regular scenario, does it really happen? There is a question mark. People usually spend most of the time to prepare the final draft, not for the preparation. So here, the preparation is the key, which we should emphasize in our day-to-day classrooms. So here you can see the outcome, how it can be achieved, right? Student factors, teaching context, learning focused activities, and outcome, how it is achieved. You can see that if you know outcome-based teaching and learning, maybe you can understand this, because that is different from our topic today, effective teaching and classroom engagement. Maybe you will learn from other faculty members in other days, upcoming days, right? So now I come back to our regular slide here. The first slide I have shown it to you. Now can you see why we call it as theorizing is your creativity. Reflecting is after your analysis and evaluation, how you reflect, what new answer you are bringing it. That is what we call it reflecting. Generalizing is after application. Basically, the arts is what we call it as academic, and lots we don't call it as academic, and it's in between non-academic and academic. But academic is basically memory-based education, which we have to get rid of it. And most of the time in the undergraduation, we have no choice. We are engaging, which we will have to take care of it. As faculty members today, my humble request, maybe my input to you today, is to think about going forward in progressive education so that we people can learn from our students new ideas, new creative answers. A case study is given to students, and 5 questions we are asking. Preparation time for all the 30 students are different, same 60%. 60 people will come with 60 creative answers to us. They will not produce same answers. So, okay, this is what we are expecting from students. And if we do that, I think the students' engagement will be better. The teaching and learning methodology will be effective. That's as per the experts from the education industries. Student engagement activities. Let me come back to the last portion, a few areas which I just wanted to share with you before we complete this session. Student engagement activities, active learning. So basically individual reflection. Reflection in the sense, every class, at the end of your class, can you ask them to write something about your class? Can you have some quiz so that they can reflect of their learning? That can be simple method. I think we are using it already in all our classrooms. And participatory teaching, self-regulated, self-reflection, self-determined, what I wanted to learn. We tell the students what is the outcome they are going to enjoy after learning, what outcome they will possess, what value they will have after our classes. We will tell them so that they will be participating in our teaching and learning activities, and we can move forward, right? Flexible way. Flip the classroom, student-centered, working through problems and debating with a group. So making into groups and activity-based teaching, we can think about. Next slide we have. Technology in the classroom, online and mobile technology you have. You make use of it 100%. Maybe we can make into breakout groups, and different specialized. We have to personalize over here, and we have to make use of the technology. Otherwise, it will be like one-way delivery. What I'm doing today is basically non-academic way of form of teaching, training. Since it's a regular kind of FTP, and that's the way only we can do it. I have no other choice. I left out, but I can blame only the technology and the method. So Actually, this is not supposed to be the way we have to conduct any kind of training and development in the corporate world, as it's not the 21st century model. So we have to move forward. Classroom management strategies you have: distance, distraction free environment, you have to see. Then the last few activities I wanted to suggest for you to take it forward and use it in your day-to-day classrooms. Snowball discussions. You can make like a 30 student means 15 parts, you can make it. Give them kind of problem to them. And after that, what we can do, we can make 5 minutes time, we give them, let them go and learn. After 5 minutes, we make 4 members, 2 pairs together. Then again 5 minutes you give, then 3 pairs, 4 pairs, 5 pairs. Likewise, until 15 pairs together, we make it as one classroom. Again, come back to the classroom, regular classroom. We make it kind of discussions that will be engaging students very well. They call that international kind of teaching and learning. They call that a snowball discussions kind of student engagement activity. You can think about concentric circles. It's again kind of pair. Maybe you can create a circle and you can move with the same method. What I said earlier in the snowball, with different concepts, they will go and make a circle, like 2 circles or 3 circles. They will pair it, they will have groups and they will discuss and come out of it. Make it personal. Every answer come with in own creativity, personalized form of it, so that I know I have learned something from this particular class, not just generalized for all 30 people in the classroom. Stories, of course, you all know very well, storytelling is something very much attracted in teaching and learning. You can use that. Use simulations, very important. Role plays, like they can make their own debates, any kind of simulating kind of new business solutions, models, lot of models you have. If business studies means, IT means, you have a lot of models. They can use it and simulate and prepare a kind of real life scenarios they can prepare, but it's not really real life. Vestibule, we call it vestibule methodologies. Use visual representations, very much important. People learn in 3 methodologies, 3 ways. One is auditory, just hearing, like what we are doing today. One way, I tell you, you listen, auditory. Second is visualized. People see it and learn, see it and hear it and learn. Third one is kinesthetic learners. That means you hear it, you see it, as well as you can feel it, creating a feeling atmosphere. Maybe the touch and feel it. So kinesthetic atmosphere. If you have created such environment, auditory, visualizing, and also making with a feel, then yes, your students are very well engaged. Make use of some kind of activities which is related to kinesthetic learning methodology, so that students' engagement will be better for all of us, right? Problem-based, quick writes, social media, I think, of course, you have to have a proper control over when you are using social media kind of teaching, or they wanted to apply in social media and see any business applications. You have to have the control atmosphere. So that's all I wanted to share. If any questions, I would like to address, and I'm fine with it. Any questions or any clarifications you need, or any feedback, whether you got some idea or this 1 hour is really some meanings it brought in for you. I leave it to the panel and I leave it to the colleagues.
Thank you, sir. It was a very nice session. No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. Now I request Sona to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good evening to one and all present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks. I would like to thank our chief guest who honored this function with his inspirational thought, effective teaching, and vast insight. I would like to thank our beloved faculty member for making this function in a grand success. Once again, I thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And thank you all of you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, madam.